And well, the day belongs to two key states, Vedant, Gujarat, which is seeing elections in 25 of the 26 seats. Surat, of course, is a walkover for the BJP. And with this, elections in fact conclude in the northeast. Elections also conclude in Karnataka. We'll of course get you that 360-degree view with our team of reporters. But like I said, the day belonged to Gujarat. And this morning, Vedant, we saw those pictures of the Prime Minister accompanied by the Home Minister, who was of course out there in Ahmedabad. There was an entire stretch of road that was cordoned off as the Prime Minister went to cast his vote. He in fact even spoke to the press for about 10 minutes. It was a long soundbite interaction with the press. Before we get you details of what's happening across different states, let's first listen in to the Prime Minister.
आज तीसरे चरण का मतदान है। मैं देशवासियों को विशेष रूप से आग्रह करूंगा कि लोकतंत्र में मतदान ये सामान्य दान नहीं है। हमारे देश में दान का एक महात्म्य है और उसी भाव से देशवासी ज्यादा से ज्यादा मतदान करें।
And well, along with the Prime Minister, the Home Minister also cast his vote. He's also a candidate from Gandhinagar, where he's eyeing a return. Listen to what the Home Minister in fact had to say.
मैं देश भर के सभी मतदाताओं को और गुजरात के मतदाताओं को भी मन से विनती करना चाहता हूं कि बढ़ चढ़कर लोकतंत्र के इस महोत्सव में हिस्सा ले। स्थिर सरकार, सुरक्षित देश, समृद्ध देश, गरीब कल्याण और भारत गौरव को समर्पित एक सरकार चुनिए। मैं आज के लोकतंत्र के इस पर्व के अवसर पर सभी देशवासियों को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूं और फिर से एक बार पुरजोश वोटिंग कर लोकतंत्र के इस पर्व में हिस्सा लेने की अपील करता हूं।
All right. Well, Prime Minister Modi cast his vote, as did Home Minister Amit Shah. The Home Minister, of course, is one of the key candidates in the fray. And as far as Gujarat is concerned, Vedant, it's essentially just going to be this huge prestige battle for the BJP, looking to better performances, double their records, increase their voter margin. It's a very one-sided battle, many would say.
That's right. And of course, assembly elections were also held in Gujarat just a year back. And we saw that this time there was a new entrant in the assembly elections as well. The Aam Aadmi Party also looking to make inroads there. So, of course, testing waters in Gujarat. Though, as you say, it's a walkover for the BJP. The BJP, eyeing all seats in Gujarat, which is why, the Prime Minister campaigned very little in Gujarat. If you look at, his campaign in the past couple of weeks particularly, he just held a couple of roadshows there in Gujarat because, as the BJP walas would say in BJP parlance, is the Manohari seats or the safe seats of the BJP in Gujarat, particularly Gandhinagar, where Amit Shah also held a huge roadshow, there in Gandhinagar, where he started his journey as a BJP Karyakarta, and he is now in the fray yet again. And, the Rajput agitation you were discussing earlier as well, that of course is a key factor there, not just in Gujarat, but a couple of northern states, even in states like Uttar Pradesh, and this Thakur disillusionment becoming a huge factor.
Well, absolutely. In fact, has that been undone in a certain way is what this election will be a testament to. Purushottam Rupala, of course, is contesting from Rajkot. Amit Shah from Gandhinagar. Mansukh Mandavia, Health Minister, is also in the fray from Porbandar. So it is a prestige battle for the BJP. Radhika is joining us live at the moment from Ahmedabad. Radhika, it's been a power-packed morning for you. You first, of course, covered, the Prime Minister and the Home Minister walking in tandem through that entire stretch of the road as the Prime Minister went to cast his vote. Amit Shah then cast his vote with his entire family. So it's been a busy morning for you. And of course, Gujarat, the entire state going to polls. What are some of the key issues? What's at stake in this big battle?
Certainly, big day today as far as Gujarat is concerned. It was an action-packed morning. We did see Prime Minister Modi casting his vote. There was a roadshow of sorts, a show of strength by both Prime Minister Modi as well as Amit Shah. Amit Shah also casting his vote just where I'm standing. He cast his vote about half an hour back. He is a key contestant as far as the entire Gandhinagar constituency is concerned. In fact, he had won from this particular constituency in huge margin in 2019, wanting to repeat the same but with a bigger margin. Of course, both Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah did speak to the media, appealing to voters to come out in large numbers. I will try and speak to a few of the voters here in just a bit. This is, of course, a semi-urban constituency. Let me just try and speak to some of the voters. Hello, sir. So you've obviously come here to cast your vote. Tell us about the issues that you're voting for this time.
हम आदमी को अच्छे तरह से पहचानते हैं, उसको ही वोट देंगे।
आप क्या मुद्दे पे वोट कर रहे हैं?
हम हिंदू हैं, हम हिंदुस्तान के जानते हैं और हम इस रीति रिवाज से वोट करेंगे।
हाँ, आप क्या कहना चाहेंगे मैम? इधर के क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स है आपके कंस्टिट्यूएंसी में?
बोलो कहीं नहीं।
कछु नहीं।
हाँ, कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है।
Okay.
आनंद है।
All right, I'll try and speak to some more voters here as they come in. Excuse me. All right. Okay, so they're all busy, heading to the polling booth. Of course, it's a busy morning here in Gujarat. Everybody, in fact, many of the citizens here are coming nice and early to vote. And as Prime Minister Modi, as well as Amit Shah, had been saying that people are coming out in large numbers. He gave a 20%, voting percentage. We'll verify that voting percentage as well. The entire state going to polls, 25 seats going to polls, one already in the, Bharatiya Janata Party's kitty, which is the Surat, which has gone unopposed. But apart from that, of course, as we've been pointing out, key contestants, Amit Shah and Mansukh Mandviya, as you pointed out, this time too, BJP wanting to make a mark here once again with a bigger margin. 2014, 2019 were with them. Congress has allied with the Aam Aadmi Party to sort of, put some sort of dent and also wanting an anti-incumbency sentiment also to set so that it could be advantage Congress. Let me just go across to, hi ma'am, so you've just cast your vote. Take us through the issues that you voted for this time.
The major issues which we voted for this time, the prime, the manifesto which we had seen is the development. And the second thing is employment and the opportunities for the youth. And third thing is we are seeing the India growing, and we are also having the presence now worldwide. Wherever we go, people feel like, yes, you are Indian, yes, India is growing. We are at the third most position now. So we had majorly voted for development. We had voted for the, new upcoming technologies and the facilities which we can get now in India as well.
All right, great, thank you. So voted for employment, voted for technology, voted for opportunities is what this young lady has told us. So yes, Gujarat going to polls. 25 seats in the state of Gujarat is going to polls. Today, Prime Minister Modi and Amit Shah cast their vote early this morning.
Right, Radhika, thanks very much for that. So, as Radhika said, quite a roadshow, almost like a campaign there with the Prime Minister casting his vote. But let's shift focus also to Karnataka. But before that, let's cut across to live visuals as well. Coming in, Mallikarjun Kharge casting his vote. Of course, Kalaburgi is becoming a bit of a prestige battle there for Mallikarjun Kharge. It's one of the hot seats in Karnataka. Elections taking place in the Lingayat heartland, in the Lingayat belt, North Karnataka, where of course the BJP also looking to make a dent. But Mallikarjun Kharge casting his vote. So let's also go across to Pratibha and Veera joining us live. Veera, first to you. So talk to us about Kalaburgi. You travelled, to the seat as well. A prestige battle certainly for Mallikarjun Kharge.
Who lost last time around?
It's a prestige battle. Yeah, that's right, Rishika. You must, the man on your screens, the Congress president, octogenarian but still energetic, travelled across Karnataka, refused to contest the seat himself this time. His son-in-law, Doddamani Radhakrishna Doddamani is the candidate there. Reluctant candidate, one who's reticent, but one who had handled several of Kharge's election campaigns. Remember, history of Kharge, if you see, from 1978, he was an undefeated MLA from Gurmitkal Assembly constituency. 2000 till 2004, 2009 and 14 wins the Gulbarga Lok Sabha constituency. In 2019, one of his close confidants, Umesh Jadhav, shifts over to the BJP with a lot of other local Congress leaders. Gives Kharge a shock defeat in 2019. I think for the family, the Kharge family, it's largely a battle to retain not just Kalaburgi, but also reiterate his power in Hyderabad, Karnataka region, in seats like Raichur, or even in seats like Koppal, which joins the Gulbarga Kalaburgi constituency. But as you rightly pointed out, Kalaburgi, a prestige battle there for the Congress president, where his son-in-law is contesting as he casts his vote. The argument that the Congress had given is that he's a Rajya Sabha MP, and if he wins a Lok Sabha MP, he'll have to choose between one. So he would like to have a person who didn't have a post, which is pretty much the argument that the Congress has given for several of the state ministers and others whose children and kin are contesting in these elections in Karnataka. So there you have the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge casting his vote. An important battle for him. He's been leading the charge there. Remember, if the old Mysore region, which went in phase 1, was the Siddaramaiah Shivkumar phase, Hyderabad, Karnataka, and largely the old phase 1 was the Siddaramaiah Shivkumar versus the JDS BJP alliance phase. In this phase, you could see Hyderabad, Karnataka and Mumbai, Karnataka as a bipolar contest between the Congress and the BJP. Of course, keeping all factions together. A lot of leaders who deserted the Congress in 2019, some of them have returned, but Umesh Jadhav seems confident. He has the backing of the party leadership there contesting these elections, hoping for a second time. Long history there in the Kalaburgi Lok Sabha constituency between Umesh Jadhav and the Kharge family. Obviously, Priyank Kharge, the IT minister, and Mallikarjun Kharge's son, he's the one sort of managing the campaign, leading the campaign there for his brother-in-law, Radhakrishna Dodamani, who's there in Kalaburgi as the candidate. Interesting battle there. Remember, Mumbai, Karnataka is the other region where you have big faces like Prahlad Joshi. You have former Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai all going into polls in Mumbai, Karnataka region. That's the BJP heartland. That's really seen as the Hindutva heartland. Seats like Uttar Kannada, that also goes to polls today on the other side. So that's pretty much the story of Karnataka today, Rishika and Vedant.
Well, there is another crucial piece to the puzzle this time around when we talk about issues. Pratibha, you're reporting today not from a polling center, but actually from the CBI office. How much of an impact has this entire Prajwal Revanna sex scandal had on the poll narrative? Is it something that is likely to hurt the chances of the BJP-JDS alliance? What are you picking up?
In fact, as far as the previous phase of the Lok Sabha election in Karnataka goes, the political narrative was dominated by Modi guarantees versus the Congress guarantees. But this time around, one of the major election controversies has definitely been the Prajwal Revanna case and the Congress going all out in its attack against the BJP-JDS alliance. However, when you look at the 14 constituencies that are going to polls, the major face-off is between the BJP as well as the Congress, and the BJP has safely distanced itself from this issue. But we'll have to wait to see whether this would definitely affect the poll prospects of the BJP or not. But remember, there is also the Lingayat role that will definitely play a key component here when it comes to the Lok Sabha election. We're talking about the North Karnataka belt that is dominated by the Lingayat vote base, and that is also one of the vote bases that is in the pockets of the BJP. The last time around, that is 2019 election that we're talking of, the BJP had bagged around 25 of the 28 seats, and this time they are hoping to repeat history, while the Congress is looking at repeating what they did with the assembly election here as far as the Lok Sabha election is concerned. Well, all eyes are on the JDS press conference as well today that will be held by the president of the state president of the party, H.D. Kumarasamy, who would be speaking on this issue. And as far as the investigation goes as well, all angles that are being covered as far as the H.D. Revanna arrest is concerned, the bail petition that will be heard today. So all eyes are on the investigation as well. But as far as Karnataka is concerned, an extremely eventful day. Back to you.
All right. Well, eventful day. With this, the election also comes to an end in Karnataka. And, women's issues have been such a huge poll plank as far as the BJP is concerned. Aarti Jairath is also with us in the studio, senior journalist. Thanks very much for being with us. But I want to quickly go across to Tanishq. It's 10 seats, Vedant, in the all-important Uttar Pradesh. Tanishq, you are in Mainpuri, which is of course a stronghold of the Yadavs. What's happening? Okay, we seem to be having some audio issue. We seem to be having some audio issue with Tanishq. We'll just reconnect with him in a moment. But Aarti Jairat, just to get back to what we were talking about, which is Karnataka, elections come to an end today. There have been a whole host of issues, even if you look at what's dominated this phase, whether it's the questions over the Lingayat vote base, or now the big questions over this entire Prajwal Revanna scandal and how much of a bearing it's going to have on the polls.
So, what the Revanna scandal has served to do really is drown out the other, emotive issue that was building up, which was love jihad, the murder of that.
Alright, I'm being told, Aarti Jairat, hold on to your thoughts. I'm being told Akhilesh, Dimple Yadav, in fact, has arrived. Let's cut across live to Tanishq.
Akhilesh ji.
Yes,
Vedant, Akhilesh Yadav and both Dimple Yadav have arrived here to cast their vote in Saifai. This is, of course, the native village. We just saw Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Yadav going inside to cast their vote. They were expected to cast their vote around 7:30 today, but it's 10 right now. The voting turnout is average voter turnout is around 13% of Uttar Pradesh, with around 12.5% of the Mainpuri district from where I am reporting right now. But I would like to show you, of course, the security has been beefed up for Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Yadav. Dimple Yadav is the candidate from here contesting against Javeer Singh of the BJP. Javeer Singh, a minister, a tourism minister in the Yogi government. Dimple Yadav won from here in the bypoll by a margin around 3 lakh votes after Mulayam Singh Yadav's death. And the Samajwadi Party is again and again constantly saying that this time the margin will be around 5 lakh votes and Dimple Yadav will be winning from here. And of course, it is a stronghold of the Samajwadi Party. The BJP is eyeing a near impossible target of all the 80 seats. Last time in 2019, the BJP managed to defeat Dimple Yadav in Kannauj. Subrat Pathak won by a narrow margin of 12,000 votes. This time again, they are trying to breach the Samajwadi Party fortress with Javeer Singh, who is also an MLA from the Mainpuri Sadar constituency. But again, I would like to show here the visuals. Early in the morning, Ram Gopal Yadav came. And of course, other members of the Akhilesh Yadav's family are here. All the members of the Akhilesh Yadav family are here. All of them will be casting their vote here today. Earlier in the morning, Akshay Yadav and Ram Gopal Yadav casted their vote. In some time from now, Shivpal Yadav, along with his son Aditya Yadav, will be also casting their vote. So of course, here Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Yadav right now inside the polling booth, casting their vote along with their family. Yes.
I know we had to interrupt you earlier, but just speaking of Mainpuri, speaking of this entire region, this has been a Yadav stronghold for close to 3 decades now. I think Yadav hasn't lost an election from this area since 1996, so it is a bastion. And Dimple Yadav, who's contesting from here, she actually won the bypoll after Mulayam Singh Yadav passed away. So this is a stronghold, but it's interesting to see Akhilesh Yadav also entering into the fray. There was it wasn't a given that he's going to contest this election.
Yes, that's right. And I think he's, obviously looking at the possibility of playing some kind of a role at the center, which is why he decided to contest the Lok Sabha poll. I guess he's moving out of UP for the time being. And, he will concentrate on Delhi politics. So he's gone back to Kannauj, which actually the SP lost last time to the BJP. Yeah. So, it's going to, I think Kannauj will be an interesting battle because that is also, SP's stronghold, which they lost last time.
But not a safe seat.
But not a safe seat like Mainpuri. Yes. That's right. He gave the safe seat to his wife.
Yes, he gave the safe seat to his wife.
As we stay on these visuals, I'm very fascinated by Mainpuri and Saifai because, when you go to these places, it's Netaji still, which is front and center.
Yes.
Whether in Dimple's speeches, whether in the posters, I'm too young to have noticed the clout of Mulayam Singh Yadav, but, do you still see that as a big factor? Netaji and Mulayam Singh Yadav?
Oh, very much so. Very much so. I mean, he completely dominated. And, he did a lot for the area also. There's been quite a lot of work done. I think, he's built helipads, this, that, the other. And, the thing about Mulayam Singh Yadav was that he knew everybody in his constituency. He knew all his party workers. He knew, sort of villagers. He knew village headsmen, panchayat leaders, everything. He knew them by name and by face. And, that's the kind of connect actually which most leaders don't have, but Mulayam Singh Yadav did. So, which is why I think he's still remembered so fondly, in that area.
Well, absolutely. Tanishq, if we can just come back to you, since we have Tanishq right there. What's been the kind of sentiment as far as the voters are concerned? I mean, Vedant, you've also been covering this election. You've travelled extensively through Western UP, but what are you picking up, Tanishq? You, of course, just returned from Amethi, Rai Bareli. You've been camping there for the last week.
Yes, of course. If I talk about Mainpuri, like Vedant mentioned, it is the Netaji's name. It is the Netaji's name that still matters to a lot of people here. And also, a few days back, while I was reporting from Kannauj and Mainpuri, I was there. A lot of voters, especially Samajwadi Party supporters, they said it is the Yadav surname that matters to them. It is the caste that matters to them. And of course, the BJP has also put up a Yadav. The BSP has also put up a Yadav candidate this time from Mainpuri. So of course there is an attempt to act as the BSP could be acting as a vote cutter into the Samajwadi Party's vote share. But at the same point of time, we also have to look at Jaiveer Singh, a minister in the UP government, an MLA from Mainpuri Sadar constituency. He somehow managed in the 2024 assembly elections to breach this fort. So of course, and at the same point of time, Amit Shah had also been campaigning. He did it out at the Samajwadi Party from here in Mainpuri itself. So of course, there could be some transfer of votes. We could see some dent, but the Samajwadi Party is confident that Dimple Yadav is going to win by 5 lakh votes. But that's not the case with Kannauj. It is going to be a test for Akhilesh Yadav as well, because in 2019 elections, Dimple Yadav lost by a narrow margin of 12,000 votes. So Akhilesh Yadav, of course, there has been a lot of impact with Akhilesh Yadav announcing his candidature that he will be contesting from Kannauj. There is of course a motivation in the party cadre. They were expecting Akhilesh Yadav to fight from there. So very interesting. In third phase it is Mainpuri, in the fourth phase it is Kannauj, and in the fifth phase, of course, Rai Bareli and Amethi as well. Yes.
All right, you've been camping there as well, Tanishq. We'll of course keep coming back to you for more. But Vedant, you've also been in Western Uttar Pradesh. You've travelled there quite extensively. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Will the temple pitch really give the BJP what it wants?
Absolutely, and alliances also, now with the BJP allying with the RLD is a natural transfer of, the electorate happening there as well, because many on the ground, the Karyakartas disillusioned by this alliance as well. So all of that interesting. I'm being told we're also joined by our guests now on the broadcast. So let's introduce them. Sandeep Shastri is with us, also Mahima Singh of the Congress. We have Mahesh Verma of the BJP as well. Rishika, I want to look at Maharashtra a bit.
Yes. I think we've covered most of Karnataka. We've talked of Gujarat and Uttar Pradesh. So let's sort of shift focus to Maharashtra a little bit. Sandeep Shastri, if I can come to you. One of the key headline battles as far as Maharashtra today is Baramati, Pawar versus Pawar. It's the main sugarcane belt which is seeing an election today. Apart from the key issues, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think this is one of the states right now where we can safely say nobody can predict what is going to happen in Maharashtra, just given how dynamic the politics has been in the last couple of months. If you could unmute yourself, please.
I think in Maharashtra it is a legitimacy plus legacy battle. Both for the two factions of the NCP and the two factions of the Shiv Sena, who is inherited the legacy and which of the groups are considered by the voters as the legitimate group will be decided. Institutions may be with somebody, office bearers may be with somebody, but is the voter also with that faction? I think this election will decide, and today, as you rightly said, is a crucial day for some of these decisions. And I think the important point is what happens in this legacy battle will ultimately impact the Maharashtra elections at the end of the year.
Yes.
For these factions, they are actually preparing themselves for the Maharashtra assembly battle. And that decision will happen by the voters in this Lok Sabha poll in Maharashtra. And that's why there is so much attention being focused on Maharashtra. For the two national parties, the BJP and the Congress, there are much larger issues they are looking at. But for the four factions which are there in the fight, I think it's basically a fight to demonstrate their legitimacy and take the battle forward to the assembly elections.
Absolutely. It's an existential battle, certainly, which is the real NCP, which is the real Sena. But Mahesh Verma, coming on this, is Maharashtra a state that makes you nervous? Because, we saw, till the last moment, there were a lot of marathon meetings, and the Mahayuti was able to finalize its seat sharing plan only at the 11th hour.
देखिए, एक जो परसेप्शन बनना चाहिए था विपक्ष के मित्रों का, या जो आप महाआघाड़ी की जो आप बात कर रहे हैं, जिनके जरिए जो है हमें जिस प्रकार की चुनौती मिलनी चाहिए, वो तो दूर दूर तक कहीं दिखाई नहीं देती, पूरे देश में कहीं दिखाई नहीं दे रही है। हमारे जो विपक्ष के मित्र हैं, अब लगभग हम मोर देन 300 सीट्स का जो है आज कहीं पोलिंग होने के बाद आपको कहीं लग रहा है किसी नेता, कोई विपक्षी मित्रों का कि भाई मतदाताओं से अपील करते हुए ये कहीं दिखाई दे रहे हैं, या कहीं अपने चुनाव प्रचार, या ये कह लीजिए जिस तरह का इनका इलेक्शन कैंपेन है उसमें इनकी उपस्थिति, इनकी प्रेजेंस कहीं दिखाई नहीं दे रही। सवाल यह है कि हताशा, निराशा जो है अगर इनके अंदर कहीं आ चुका है इस चुनाव को लेकर, और जिस प्रकार के इनके बोली और विचार हैं, जिस प्रकार से ये डेमोक्रेसी को अभी डिस्क्राइब करने चले हैं, जिस प्रकार से अभी चुनाव आयोग को लेकर ये सवाल खड़ा करते हैं, ईवीएम को लेकर सवाल खड़ा करते हैं, परिवारवाद की जो पॉलिटिक्स है उसका प्रभाव कहीं पब्लिक के ऊपर दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है। अब आज जो है पब्लिक इस चीज को समझने की कोशिश कर रही है कि भाई आप हिंदू मुसलमान कर रहे हैं, आरक्षण की बात कर रहे हैं, लेकिन सवाल है कि देश में विकास का जो बुनियाद अगर डाली गई है और उस बुनियाद पर हम कहीं आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, और कहीं विकसित भारत का एक सपना और ड्रीम प्रधानमंत्री का वो कहीं अगर साकार करना है तो निश्चित रूप से उसकी तो बात करनी होगी ना। उससे आप मुंह कैसे चुरा लोगे, उसके बारे में क्यों नहीं बात करोगे? तो ये बहुत सारे फैक्टर्स जो है आज कहीं जनता के बीच में हम और आप उसको जिस तरह से एनालिसिस करें कि भाई आज
महेश वर्मा जी, आई विश कि पिछले 10 दिन में भी हमने विकसित भारत की बातें सुनी होती, बट हमने विकसित भारत के अलावा और बहुत सारी बातें सुनी है। I will get Mahima Singh to respond to that in just a moment, but we're also getting live pictures at the moment from Mainpuri. Akhilesh Yadav and his wife Dimple Yadav have just cast their vote, we're told, and a lot of media presence, Vedant, there on expected lines, and what we call the Janta reaction is expected. So we will, I think, hear from Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Yadav in just a short while. So we will, of course, stay with those pictures. But meanwhile, before Akhilesh Yadav speaks, Mahima Singh, do you want to just respond to what the BJP spokesperson has said in terms of narrative?
Jai Hind. The nervousness of the BJP and their representatives, Rishika, is very evident. And if I put it in Javed Akhtar Sahab's style, I would say something like this. कि जरा मौसम तो बदला है मगर पेड़ों की शाखों पर नए पत्तों के आने में अभी कुछ दिन लगेंगे। बहुत से जर्द चेहरों पर गुबारे गम है कम बेशक, पर उनको मुस्कुराने में अभी कुछ दिन लगेंगे। Less than a month actually now, because you see the first two phases did not turn out to the BJP's pleasing. We are sensing rather, I should say, the bells of change ringing everywhere, be it on the polling booths, be it on the streets, be it across media. We have seen some boycotts against the ruling party. And Maharashtra today is voting against, the BJP's misrule, anti-democratic rule. You see the Maratha protests that have been happening across Maharashtra. In Karnataka, today Ravana issue is topping the charts. You see Gujarat, the Gujarat people, the voters remember the corruption, they remember the Morbi bridge that fell down, and they also have witnessed very recently, the huge, massive Kshatriya protests, lakhs and lakhs. So when you were talking about the temple issue earlier, that's what I was wondering. You
Yes.
see, Bhagwan Ram was a Kshatriya, and what we see in Gujarat is a
I'm
reflection
afraid
of the
I'm going to
sentiment.
have to interrupt you, Mahima Singh, because I believe Akhilesh Yadav is in fact, okay, he's going to speak. Akhilesh Yadav and Dimple Yadav are in fact there. They're expected to speak in just a short while from now. So we'll of course dip in and listen in. But you know, just speaking of issues, and we've of course talked about Mainpuri in great detail. Also, I want to point out here that Badaयूं and Hathras are two other constituencies that are going to the polls today. And Hathras, of course, in this entire duration has made headlines for that infamous case. So, it was interesting because Vedant, when you were covering the election in Western UP during the last phase as well, there were so many women who actually came out and spoke to you about women's safety being a huge cause of concern. And, that is really one of the things top of mind for women across National Capital Region and Uttar Pradesh.
Absolutely. So women's safety certainly a very important issue with, of course, this whole narrative around Nari Shakti as well. But as we stay with those pictures of Akhilesh Yadav, Dimple Yadav casting their votes there, Aarti Jairath, quickly come in on how the Samajwadi Party is now looking on gaining, regaining lost ground perhaps, whether it is Azamgarh, Badaयूं, of course, Mainpuri has been a stronghold, Saifai, with Yadavs now being fielded. Of course, Tej Pratap Yadav was fielded earlier.
Actually, this time, the Samajwadi Party has tried a very interesting experiment because they have fielded less Yadavs and less Muslims than they usually do. And they have fielded more, that whole PAD formulation, that,
PDA.
PDA, sorry,
Yes.
that's right, Pichhda, Dalit and Alpsankhya. So, they have fielded more OBCs and, people from other castes. And they've tried another very interesting experiment, for instance, for the seat of Meerut, which is not a reserve seat, it's a general seat. The Samajwadi Party actually fielded a Dalit.
Yes.
So, this is a very new attempt by the Samajwadi Party to broaden its base beyond the traditional Yadav Muslim combine and get back some of the old sort of backward caste votes that Mulayam Singh used to get, under the socialist banner. So, it's an interesting, and this is also obviously an attempt to break the BJP's hegemony over the other backward castes, because the BJP has managed to rope in the other backward castes and has been sweeping UP for the last 10 years on the back of this, support from the other backward castes. So the Samajwadi Party is trying to break that hegemony and trying to get some of those votes, over to its side. So it's an interesting battle, and we'll have to see how successful the Samajwadi Party has been in this.
All right. I'm being told our senior colleague Himanshu Shekhar is now joining us live from Agra, of course, a very interesting seat in Western Uttar Pradesh. Himanshu, so over to you. What are some of the issues there in Agra, key Western UP seat, going to polls, the BSP also testing waters there? What's happening there?
I have to say, you spoke with some very feisty young women, Himanshu. That was a fantastic report. We played it out just a short while ago.
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, these are very interesting elections in Agra, which is considered the Dalit capital of Uttar Pradesh politics. Because if you just look at the numbers, the Jatav community has around 3.5 lakh voters. Valmiki community also has a very sizable population. And that is why very often it is said that the Jatav vote bank in Agra often is seen as a symbol, as an indication of where the SC votes actually will go, what are the new trends that are emerging in UP politics. And this time, if you just look at the 2019 elections, BSP and Samajwadi Party had contested the election together. But this time, there is a new arithmetic, there is new pattern in caste politics, with Mayawati deciding to go alone, and she's contesting elections alone, while Samajwadi Party has tied up with the Congress. And this, of course, has made the elections a triangular contest this time. Last time, BJP had won this seat despite SP and BSP joining hands. But this time, of course, there is a triangular context. I have with me Naseem Ahmed, who is an NDTV journalist. He has been reporting in this region of Fatehpur Sikri, Agra belt for last several years. Naseem bhai, the Dalit vote bank in Agra is considered politically very significant. Mayawati launched her campaign in 2022 assembly elections from this constituency. 2 days back she campaigned here. Interestingly, both BSP and Samajwadi Party have fielded Jatav candidates, right? So how will that change the arithmetic here, the political arithmetic in 2024?
बिल्कुल, जैसे आपने कहा कि ये आगरा है ना, दलितों की का कैपिटल्स है। और कैपिटल इसलिए है कि मैं आपको बताऊं, जब 1952 में इलेक्शन हुआ आगरा में, तब 1952 से 1977 तक कांग्रेस का कब्जा रहा। उसके पीछे फैक्ट था कि दलित जो वोटर था वो उस समय कांग्रेस के साथ हुआ करता था, दलित, ब्राह्मण एंड मुस्लिम्स। उसकी वजह से कांग्रेस एक लंबे टाइम तक आगरा के अंदर कांग्रेस का झंडा बुलंद रहा है, लेकिन कांग्रेस अब गायब हो गई। उसकी वजह से जो लोकल क्षेत्रीय पार्टी बनी, बसपा, समाजवादी पार्टी, अदर्स पार्टियां बनी, और बसपा के साथ ही दलित वोट का चला जाना, तो बसपा की 4 बार मायावती मुख्यमंत्री रही उत्तर प्रदेश की। तो इस बार जो है बसपा ने भी पूजा अमरोही, वो जाटव हैं, समाज से आती हैं। समाजवादी पार्टी ने भी जाटव समाज पे दाव खेल दिया है, उन्होंने भी करदम को टिकट दिया, सोचन करदम को टिकट दिया है। तो जो लगता है समाजवादी पार्टी ने सोचा कि आगरा दलित का कैपिटल है, तो यहाँ पर हम एक दलित चेहरा उतार करके जो बसपा का वोट बैंक है उसमें सेंध कैसे मार सकते हैं। तो मुझे लगता नहीं है कि वो ज्यादा कामयाब इसमें हो पाएंगे।
जी, निश्चित तौर पर। सो क्लियरली a very new trend of caste politics this time in Agra, but I am now in a polling booth in Fatehpur Sikri, and behind me there are 3 polling booths. Now, Vedant, the significant thing is that around 6:45 when I first came here, there was a line of voters here, and the voting seemed to be brisk. But now you can see on the television screens that there are 3 polling stations here, polling booths, and all 3 are almost empty, and the election officials, commission officials are sitting inside, they're waiting for the voter to come. So clearly there is a slowdown, the heat is also up. And interestingly, in the first 2 hours, the data that has been released by Election Commission shows that in Fatehpur Sikri, the voting percentage is around 14%.
Yes.
But in Agra, disturbingly, the percentage is around 10.6% only in first 2 hours. Now, this number, why it is significant is that in 2019 elections, the voting percentage was 59% in Agra, much lower than the UP average, and of course much lower than the national average as well. And in last few months, the Election Commission with the Agra administration had launched several campaigns to lure women voters, youth voters to come out and vote, but that doesn't seem to be producing results.
But in
now.
fact, I want to just point out that the average voter turnout till 9 a.m., and that's almost now 1.5 hours ago, we'll get an updated figure for 11 a.m. in a short while. The average across all seats, 11 states, was around 10.5%. And UP was one of the states which was actually above average, crossed 11%. So one hopes sincerely that, it picks up pace again, but soaring temperatures. And Himanshu, take care of yourself. We've, of course, got our team of reporters who fanned out across.
Some Agra ka petha would actually be a nice relief there, and I hope Himanshu sir gets that for us. From Sadar Bazaar, of course. But we'll continue to track that, and with all of our reporters, this remains our top focus on NET for now. Short break.